Have you ever wondered why, at 74, Roberto can still dance at the senior center every Friday night, while other men his age hesitate even to cross the street? The secret isn't something complicated. It's far simpler and more powerful than any doctor has ever told you. Roberto didn't realize it, but he had accidentally stumbled upon the very secret that keeps millions of people walking with confidence even after 60. And today, you're going to discover that same secret, one that can completely transform the way you move through the world. If you're 60 or older, you've probably felt a moment of uncertainty while walking, especially when you have to change direction quickly, like stepping around a pothole in the crosswalk or swerving in the grocery aisle when someone suddenly stops with their cart. That feeling of instability isn't just part of getting old. In fact, there's a clear scientific explanation for it, and an equally clear solution. Dr. Robert Chen, a researcher at Stanford University, spent 5 years studying why some people maintain their mobility while others don't. His discovery was surprising. It isn't about the knees, the spine, or even overall leg strength. The secret lies in one specific group of muscles that functions as your body's steering system. Think of your body like a car. You might have a powerful engine, your legs, and brakes in perfect working order, your balance. But if the steering system is faulty, you can't navigate a curve safely. That's exactly what happens when the hip muscles weaken. You lose the ability to steer your body precisely, especially during sudden changes in direction. These hip muscles act like tiny automatic stabilizers. When you walk in a straight line, they work quietly in the background, keeping your pelvis aligned. But when you need to turn, sidestep, or change direction, they have to work like a team of engineers, instantly calculating the best way to keep you balanced and secure. The problem is that, over time, these muscles begin to fall asleep. Picture an alarm clock that used to be perfectly reliable, but gradually loses accuracy. One day it's a minute late, the next day too, until one morning it simply doesn't ring on time at all. That's exactly what happens with your hip muscles. They lose their ability to react swiftly just when you need them most. Dr. Chen's research uncovered something even more striking. People with strong hip muscles are 73% less likely to experience falls when changing direction. In other words, out of every 10 people who strengthen these muscles, 7 avoid the risk of falling when they have to pivot quickly. Now comes the most intriguing part of Roberto's story. He wasn't doing complicated workouts at the gym, didn't take any special medications, and had no idea he was even training his hip muscles. He had simply folded 3 easy activities into his daily routine that, without realizing it, kept those muscles firing on all cylinders. What if I told you that you can do exactly what Roberto did, using just 10 minutes of your day and no special equipment? What if I told you there's a specific sequence of movements you can perform right at home, with nothing more than a chair and your own determination? You are about to discover not only what Roberto was doing, but also why it works so well, and how you can start today to strengthen the very muscles that mean the difference between walking with confidence and living in fear of a fall. Did you know there's a simple test that can reveal in just 30 seconds whether your hip muscles are working properly? It's so basic you can do it right now while sitting where you are. But before I show you this test, I need to tell you something that may shock you. The National Institutes of Health conducted a study that followed 2,147 people aged 65 and older for 3 years. The result was alarming. Those with weakened hip muscles were 340% more likely to suffer a fall, involving a change of direction within the first 18 months of the study. That means that out of every 10 people with weak hips, more than 4 endured falls that could have been completely avoided. Here's the most striking discovery the researchers made. The warning signs of weakening begin to appear up to 5 years before the first fall. Your body has been trying to alert you for a long time. You just might not have recognized the signals. Think of your hip muscles as your car's shock absorbers. When the shocks are new, you barely notice them. The ride is smooth, curves are taken with ease, and you feel safe behind the wheel. As they wear out, the change is gradual. First a small jolt over a speed bump, then a bit more sway in the turns, until one day the problem is impossible to ignore. That's exactly how hip muscles fail. They lose efficiency little by little, sending subtle messages you may have dismissed as normal signs of aging. But they're really your body saying, "Hey, I need attention here." The first sign shows up when you're walking downstairs and feel the urge to grip the handrail more firmly than before. This isn't fear. It's your body compensating for lost lateral stability. The second sign is that brief hesitation before crossing a street, especially when you know you'll need to pick up your pace halfway across. The third and most critical sign appears when you trip in a place you know like the back of your hand. A step you've climbed 1,000 times, a rug that's always been there, or a slight rise in the sidewalk that never troubled you before. It happens because your hip muscles can no longer make the quick, precise adjustments required when you change direction or encounter an unexpected obstacle. Now comes the good part of Roberto's story. He too began to feel those warning signs at 69. The difference is that without realizing it, he started doing something that completely reversed the process. And it wasn't by chance. It happened because he built into his daily routine an activity that works like a natural medicine targeted specifically at these muscles. Remember how I mentioned Roberto dancing at the senior center? Well, dancing wasn't just a hobby for him. Without knowing it, it turned out to be the most effective therapy for strengthening the hip muscles. Every time he pivoted to the beat, every spin, every lateral step, he was training exactly the muscles that need to stay strong to keep you safe while walking. But here's the secret Roberto himself didn't know. Not every kind of dance will do the trick, and you don't have to be a dancer to reap the same benefits. There's a specific sequence of movements, drawn from basic ballroom steps, that you can perform at home using nothing more than a chair for support. This routine works those muscles far more efficiently than any traditional exercise. Dr. Maria Santos, a physical therapist specializing in senior mobility, found that this particular sequence can boost hip muscle strength by up to 45% in just 40 days. Her patients reported not only greater confidence while walking, but also a newfound lightness they hadn't felt in years. Now remember the test I mentioned earlier, the one that can reveal whether your hip muscles are weak? I'm going to teach it to you right now, but be prepared. The result may surprise you. This test was designed specifically to detect whether your hips are sending out warning signals you might be ignoring. Are you ready to find out if your hips are trying to tell you something important? First, I need you to do something for me. Stand up from your chair and position yourself beside it, resting one hand lightly on the backrest. Now lift one foot off the floor, bending your knee as if you were taking a high step. Can you hold this position for 30 seconds without losing your balance or setting your foot back down? If you managed it, congratulations. Your hip muscles are still functioning properly. But if you felt unsteady, had to grip the chair more firmly, or couldn't maintain the position for the full 30 seconds, your hips are sending a clear signal. They need urgent help. This test, developed by the California Institute of Geriatric Physical Therapy, is used by professionals worldwide to identify people at risk of falling. The most impressive part is that it's more accurate than expensive, complicated examinations. Dr. James Mitchell, who led the research, discovered that individuals who cannot complete this test are 280% more likely to suffer a fall in the next 12 months. And don't worry, this is only the first test. Later on, I'll teach you a second 30-second test that will show whether the exercises you're about to learn are really working for you. Also, don't be discouraged if you didn't pass the test. In fact, that's great news, because it means you caught the problem before something more serious happens. It's like discovering a tire is low before a road trip. Better to know now than to find out in the middle of the highway, right? Now let me tell you exactly what Roberto did before his dances and how you can start strengthening these muscles today. Remember I said he was dancing? Well, Roberto wasn't doing fancy steps. In fact, he repeated just 3 basic movements that, without realizing it, were exactly what his hips needed. The first movement Roberto practiced is called the confidence step. Imagine you're in the kitchen, standing next to the counter with one hand resting on it. Now take a step to the side, not forward or backward, but directly sideways, as if you were moving away from the counter. Then bring your other foot to meet the first. That's it. Simple as that. 1 step out, 1 step in, but both feet have to move in the same direction. The second movement was even simpler. Roberto stood holding the back of a chair and lifted one leg straight behind him, as if starting to step backward but without letting the foot touch the floor. He held that position for 5 seconds, then lowered the leg slowly. He did this 6 times with each leg. That movement, which physical therapists call a hip extension, works the muscles that keep your pelvis stable while you walk. These are the very muscles that prevent you from collapsing to one side when you lift a leg to take a step. Roberto had no idea, but he was performing one of the most effective exercises known for preventing falls. The third movement was the most interesting. Roberto stood, always with one hand resting on the chair, and made small circles with one leg, as if drawing a coin in the air with his foot. 5 circles in one direction, 5 in the other, then switched legs. This movement acts as though you're lubricating the hip joint, keeping it flexible and ready for sudden changes in direction. It's like turning your car's steering wheel back and forth a few times before parallel parking. You're preparing the steering system to operate with precision. Roberto performed these 3 movements every morning right after breakfast, while waiting for the newspaper to arrive. They took just 8 minutes out of his day, but those 8 minutes were literally saving his independence and his confidence to walk. The most incredible part is that Roberto started noticing a difference in just 4 days. On the first day, he thought the movements felt strange and a bit tiring. On the second day, they were already easier. On the third day, he realized he was climbing the stairs at home without a second thought. And on the fourth day, while shopping at the supermarket, he noticed he didn't hesitate even once when changing direction between the aisles. But pay close attention. There's a right way and a wrong way to do these movements. If you do them the wrong way, you won't reap the benefits. And worse, you could even injure yourself. That's why I'll teach you exactly how to perform each movement, the ideal time of day to practice them, and how to pair them with other daily activities to maximize your results. I'm also going to reveal a secret Roberto himself didn't know. There's a fourth, more advanced movement he naturally began doing once he felt more confident. This move is so powerful it can boost your stability by up to 60% in just 2 weeks. Now the moment of truth has arrived. I'm going to show you exactly how to perform each movement, with all the details that make the difference between getting results and wasting your time. The right time makes all the difference. Roberto always did his exercises in the morning, right after breakfast. In the morning, your muscles are rested, and your body produces more of the hormones that help build strength. Doing the routine early also ensures you won't forget later in the day. Ideally, start 30 minutes to 1 hour after breakfast. Here's your manual so you won't get lost or forget. Movement 1. The confidence step. Stand beside a sturdy chair. Place one hand on the backrest and keep your feet parallel, shoulder width apart. Lift your chest slightly, as if an invisible thread were pulling the crown of your head upward. Take a lateral step, touching down first with your heel and then with your whole foot. Imagine you're stepping on a raw egg, firm yet gentle. Pause for 2 seconds. Bring the other foot next to the first, keeping about 4 inches between your feet. Pause again for 2 seconds. Do 8 repetitions to each side. Mild muscle discomfort is normal. Pain is not. Movement 2. The back elevator. From the same starting position, lift one leg straight backward, as if pushing a door open with your heel. Raise it only about 6 inches, 15 cm off the floor. Take 3 seconds to lift, hold for 5 seconds, and 3 seconds to lower. Keep your chest lifted. Perform 6 repetitions with each leg. If you can't hold for 5 seconds, start with 2 or 3 seconds and build up gradually. Osteochactor movement 3. The magic drawing. Lift one leg off the floor and trace small circles with your foot as though drawing a coin in the air. Make 5 clockwise circles, pausing 1 second between each, then 5 counterclockwise circles. Switch legs and repeat. The secret fourth movement. After 2 weeks, Roberto began letting go of the chair during the confidence step. Only that movement, okay? Perform the step as usual, but when both feet are on the floor, release your hand for 3 seconds. Start with 1 second and increase the time gradually. The second test, measuring your progress. After 2 weeks, repeat the initial test. Stand on one leg for 30 seconds. Notice, are you gripping the support less firmly? Do you feel steadier? These are clear signs that your muscles are responding. But there's a way to speed up these results by as much as 50%. And Roberto uncovered it by combining the exercises with something he already did every day, just in a different way. 3 months after beginning his morning exercises, something extraordinary happened to Roberto. He was in the supermarket when a child darted out from between the aisles right in front of him. Without a second thought, Roberto sidestepped swiftly, kept walking as if nothing had happened, and only later realized what he'd done. He had made a sharp change of direction. No hesitation, no loss of balance, no fear. That was the moment Roberto understood something fundamental had changed in his body. What he didn't yet know was that he had accidentally discovered a secret that can accelerate anyone's progress by up to 50%. The accidental discovery that changes everything. Roberto had always walked to the bakery each morning for fresh bread. But a few weeks into his exercise routine, he began doing something different on that walk. Instead of traveling in a straight line, he started making small, intentional detours, circling a lamppost he could have passed on either side, veering around a tree that wasn't even in his path, taking slight, unnecessary curves along the sidewalk. What Roberto had discovered, without knowing it, was integrated functional practice. He was taking the movements he practiced at home into the real world, creating controlled situations where he could safely train his directional changes. Dr. Elizabeth Torres, a specialist in geriatric rehabilitation, conducted a study involving 156 adults over 65 and found that those who combined targeted exercises with functional practice improved 52% faster than those who did the exercises at home only. How to apply the Roberto method in your own life. Beginning in your third week of exercises, you can start using the Roberto method. During your everyday walks, whether you're going to the market, visiting a neighbor, or simply strolling, deliberately weave in small changes of direction. When you're on the sidewalk, instead of walking straight the whole time, add gentle zigzags. Circle around a tree, step aside to go around a lamppost, curve a bit to the left and then to the right. The important thing is that each move is controlled and safe, never sudden or risky. At the supermarket, instead of walking straight to the item you need, take a small detour, circle an end cap display, switch aisles, then return. You're training your hip muscles to react quickly to changes in direction, but in a safe, familiar setting. The indicator that never fails. How can you tell you're on the right track? Roberto came up with his own real-life test. Once a week, he paid attention to how he felt during everyday activities, climbing stairs, getting in and out of the car, walking in crowded places. You can do the same. Notice whether you hesitate less before crossing the street, feel more confident on uneven surfaces, or can change direction without a second thought. These are the true signs that your hip muscles are strong and responsive. Start today. Take the first test. Begin with the first exercise, and within 72 hours, you'll already feel something has changed. In 2 weeks, your family will notice the difference. In 21 days, you'll be walking like Roberto, safe, confident, and joyful. Remember, you're not just strengthening muscles, you're reclaiming your freedom of movement and your confidence to live each day to the fullest. If you found this content helpful, give it a thumbs up so more people can discover these exercises that can transform life after 60. And subscribe to the channel for more practical, safe tips on health and well-being in your golden years.